Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Beginner Breakdowns. Unfortunately for y'all, it's just me tonight, or maybe fortunately if you like me a lot. Seth is out, feeling kind of sick, and I want him to get his rest so that he can be back here next week for our last episode before Christmas. Or, maybe not. It depends on if either of us decides to make the long journey home instead of coming here and spending this time with you. In any case, we have a full set of replays to look for tonight, including a bunch of YouTube submissions and a bunch of replays sent to us using the replay numbers. So we're going to go ahead and get started with this Karen versus Ryu replay sent to us in the email by someone whose CFN is Spetsnaz Galford. His comments were, since Karen has some issues with her anti-airs compared to other characters, I'm having a hard time dealing with neutral or backwards jumpers who go in the defenses to hunt out a jump in or a dash and throw. So let's go ahead and get started and see what we can help this guy out with.
I'll show you the divide in our class.
Now, this matchup, I consider it probably in Karen's favor if you know what you're doing, but it can be a tough one if you don't know how to deal with fireballs, or especially a Ryu who likes to back away at lower levels. Alright, opening exchanges. So this Ryu is cornering himself, so right there, that's a common mistake for lower level in the lower levels is Karen or any other character that has a long-reaching move like that. This Ryu is doing exactly what you want him to do as a character like Karen or Cammy, someone who likes to pressure. He's letting himself be pushed back into the corner naturally. He's just going there. But instead of letting that process happen naturally, Galford maybe panics a little, maybe just misjudges the distance, and ends up going over him, which then reverses the situation and puts her back to the corner, which you don't want to do. So if you're using a move like Rasenha or trying to put a dive kick or even just doing a regular jump in, be cognizant of where it's going to position you on the screen. You want to make sure that it'll leave you in an advantageous position of some sort when you finish the motion, even if it doesn't hit, because there's nothing more embarrassing than putting yourself in the corner and then getting clowned on by a Laura or a Geef or a Mika or somebody who really prefers that you be there. And as you can see, now the situation is reversed. Ryu is starting to aggress, and Karen is stuck firmly in the corner. And Karen especially is very vulnerable here because she has very poor anti-airs, which means that he has extra options that against her that a lot of characters, it's risky to do against them in the corner. Alright, good Tenko there, gets out, good confirm into it, probably a buffer honestly, but shows some decent execution. So, again, this is the start of a Rasenha. My big advice to Galford, if you're seeing this, don't use that move so much. It's very reactable. All the follow-ups are reactable, and you have to get the spacing right, and you have to risk yourself getting anti-aired or even shoryukened if they're particularly on the ball. Don't panic when you're at this distance as Karen. You actually kind of want to be here because it puts you in a position where you can slowly walk forward and start to stick out your nice long legs, use your crouching medium kick and your standing medium kick pressure, and generally just keep the fight on your side. I would not recommend trying to force the issue as Karen a lot of the time. You just want to let the other guy, run into your feet. Don't be so focused on being aggressive. Aggressive is okay. It's just not the be-all, end-all. Like, it's definitely an important thing to be. Again, cross-up. Now your back's to the corner. Like, I understand the intent there was to try to sneak the cross-up, but he blocked it, and now you're in a really bad position. Like, sometimes you still want to do it because you don't want them to always know you're going to be in front when their back's to the wall. But this is not a situation you want to put yourself in. And so just walk. Okay, so this is the correct strategy for trying to approach someone, just walking forward. The half that Galford's kind of missing here is knowing that sometimes you just need to stop for a moment and block to catch fireball attempts or limbs being stuck out in your face. So, you know, let's watch that sequence again, because that's 2 fireballs in the face. Just walks at him, tries a Mujin Kaku for some reason in the middle of space and gets hit. I'm wondering if that was supposed to be a command dash, which would have been a smart move there, as her command dash in EX at least can definitely go under fireballs. That's another tip if you're having trouble getting in his Karen. If the opponent's spamming fireballs, you can use the command dash to go under them and then pop up with an Orochi if you're feeling, you know, anxious, or a Tenko if you're feeling like you've got it, and just go ahead and hit them some decent damage. Again, just walks into the fireball. Not a good distance to jump. So when you're this far away, jumping is very obvious here. You have to go all the way up and all the way down before you can actually hit them. This is too far away to safely jump for most people, especially against someone who has a good DP. You do not want to be jumping at this distance unless you've already somehow got them so confused they're not expecting it. And, you know, it works because he's firing another fireball, but it doesn't work out. She's not close enough to land an air attack. You know, you have to gauge that distance. Distance for jumps matters a lot. Everyone in the low levels, like especially, you know, this is Super Silver, so this isn't so bad, but, you know, you go down to Bronze, everyone's constantly jumping, right? You know, that's just how it is. The spacing of a jump matters a lot. You really, really, really have to watch it. This distance is about as close as you can possibly. Yes, Benji. Both. It's not so much the Orochi and Tenko. Sorry, the question from the chat is both EX Orochi and EX Tenko are projectile invincible. Yes, it's not so much they're invincible as that EX Command Dash, Seppu or whatever it's called, is invincible, and therefore anything that comes out of it is also projectile invincible. But I think if you happen to do, like, as Dinley points out, as you happen to do the attack right as the fireball like puts its hitbox out, you can stand up into the fireball. You have to go under the fireball. So that was a very risky fireball there, but it worked because, again, this Galford isn't really doing a good job defending against these random fireballs. Sometimes you just gotta try to watch their tendencies and walk and block, and he's not really doing that very well. Like, he's got the imitation of it where you kind of shuffle back and forth, but you can tell there's a difference between just doing that jiggle that you just saw there and actually, like, having an idea what you think they're going to do next. And you can tell because when she's walking back and forth, Ryu doesn't fire fireballs, which means she's got the wrong read. Whereas when she does, you know, walk into a fireball, it's almost every time. Like, she's not blocking any of these. Again, badly spaced jump. Didn't even catch him with the cross up there. You have to know when your jump is going to put you in range to actually hit them, or, you know, abuse ones with big hitboxes. See? Wrong spacing meant that whiffed, which meant that he gets this fro basically for free. She could have teched out, but, you know, obviously was not expecting that to whiff and didn't react in time. So learn what spacings your jump has to be at to get, if your character has a good one, a cross up, a deep jump in, and, you know, just a generally the farthest you can possibly be and land a jump in and attack period to punish fireballs. Every character's are a little bit different because your air normals are different lengths. All jump arcs also are a little bit different, so you have to learn it per character, but they're all pretty close together, so anti-airing is easier than learning the spacing for your own character. You know, you can generally gauge if they're standing in a certain range how much anti-airing you're going to have to do. It's much harder to judge exactly where you're safe because you have all these options and they have a relatively limited number. Okay, finally a good use of that. That's the, other than the combo use, like, that's the only good one he's landed so far. Be very cautious with throwing that out. It's super punishable. I'm not sure that EX Tenko was technically necessary. I think that was a just frame Tenko initiative because Tenko would save the meter. But meter management isn't something you need to worry a ton about at Super Silver, so I'm not going to criticize them too much for overusing it there. Yeah, definitely needs to focus more on playing the poke game with her long feet, just getting those crouching medium kick buffers and those standing medium kick pokes, instead of trying to jump as much as Galford is. Okay, finally blocks a fireball. See, perfect jump in, no hit. What happened there? Why didn't he hit something? Because he didn't believe it. Because he doesn't actually understand the spacing. You know, he wasn't sure if that was going to work, so he wanted to land and do something, but instead that just seeds momentum back to Ryu because his fireball recovery is already over. If you're going to jump, jump with a purpose. Know that it's a feint and you're not going to do anything, that you're trying to cross them up, that you're trying to land a proper jump in. Know what you're trying to do and do it. Don't jump randomly at a space and hope it works out. That ceases to work very quickly and, you know, get you badly hurt, as in this situation. You know, jumps are not a nothing tool. You know, people tell you all the time, don't jump, don't jump. What they mean is don't jump stupid. You've got to think smart. Like, Galford has clearly spent a lot of time practicing this Karen because he can get these combos. He knows what he's doing when he lands certain hits. He's got his buffers on point. Like, that's not nothing. He doesn't understand, and he's still clearly working on the fundamental movement of how to attack just in general in Street Fighter V. You can learn your combos as much as you want, but until you start to understand the space your character wants to fight in and how to use that space to aggress against the opponent, all those combos don't mean much. You're not going to land them. So, Galford, if you end up watching this, or you're watching this right now, what I have to say to you, because I did get this a little bit ago, you know, we've had a couple of weeks of weirdness due to Thanksgiving holiday, followed by Cap Cup and other reasons that this show wasn't going on time, for which I apologize. Learn, like, especially with someone like Karen, you've got to learn the spaces to aggress in. Like, for Karen, the thing I would recommend, and you Karen players, I can see in my chat, you can back me up on this, is learn what ranges that your standing medium kick, your crouching medium kick, and your crouching medium punch and standing medium punches can reach. Because those are your, like, prime Karen aggression tools. And they all have somewhat different ranges that you want to try to use them at. Then, from there, you also want to learn how to use Orochi to approach from a slightly longer distance, and how to bulldog forward when the opponent is just spamming fireballs without resorting to jumps. Like, you want to jump fireballs if you've got the hard read, but you do not want to just jump fireballs all the time. It's very obvious and can get you very, very badly punished. Alright, so long story short for this one, spacing. In order to win with characters that do not have long-range tools, you have to learn your spacing. The long-range characters have to learn it too, but they get a bit of a crutch in that they can scrub you out at lower levels with abuse of those tools. But once you get the hang of the spacing and the proper timing for how to aggress against those characters, especially as someone as nasty as Karen can be up close, it's very difficult for them to use that consistently. In fact, one of the major complaints I hear sometimes about Street Fighter V is how close range it tends to get. Comment from the chat. Also, Karen just gave up the corner with Tenko and Rekka's side switch. Exactly. That's the fourth time he's done that? Not that specific thing, but given up the corner by swapping sides in some way. Again, the corner is almost never your friend, unless your name is Guile sometimes. And if you have the opportunity to take the switch to do more damage but switch into the corner, it's often a much better idea to instead take a little bit less damage and leave the other guy in the corner. Because being in the corner is very, very bad for you. Because so much of the defense in this game is about creating space from your opponent, being able to have that room to back up if necessary, create a certain distance and force a confrontation at a range where your opponent may be less comfortable or your character has better options. If you take that away from yourself, it's almost always bad for you. Your character now is trapped with their back literally to the wall. You cannot use space anymore as a defensive tool, which means that you are going to get a lot harsher pressure. And that's not even mentioning characters like Zangief or Mika, who get extra special, nasty ways to pressure you if your back is to the wall. Alright, so next one, speaking of the devil, we have Mika versus Zangief. This is from our perennial fan and sender in of replays, Denzel, aka Xstaltz, who I don't see in the chat yet, but usually shows up at some point. So hello, Denzel, good to see you again. This is a rough matchup for Mika, I feel. Zangief can shut down a lot of her better options in a really, really unfortunate way for her, and generally just kind of beats her at her own game. His major weakness is that he has shorter strings, which means that it's easier to guess when he's going to do certain things compared to her. But his Oki is generally a lot stronger, and he has counters for throws that she doesn't have, which allows him to really, really mess her up. So let's see how Xstaltz does in this matchup. This isn't to say it can't go very badly for Zangief. Grappler versus Grappler is a very much a big brain kind of matchup where you're both trying to outthink the other on the fly.
Round one. Fight.
Okay, forward meet. Oh, a sick lariat anti-air there. Ooh, big body splash, that's bad. So, Zangief switches corners, but he gets the stun, so that was worth it. I don't know why he dashes her out of the corner there. That was not the correct option. Like, I would have probably done what he did there and then considered resetting to a back throw. Something to put her back in the corner to help finish her off. He doesn't really need it here, but, like, that cross-up there was not necessary, I think. Okay, so what I'm going to say here is that cross-up worked out for him because she was close to stun. And so that's one of those times where it might be worth the risk to try to get those last few moments of stun, or if you're about to build meter, or if you're about to kill, that's when it's okay to cede position to take damage. But this, I don't understand. He gets her, and then not only dashes into her, but dashes multiple times. Like, maybe he's just frame killing to let her get up, but that's putting them further away from the corner, not closer to it. That's not what you want to do with Zangief. You want them back over there. So puts her 1 SPD from death, and so I'm not sure why he completed that shooting peach string. That is a punishable string, and therefore was punished by the SPD. So Xstaltz, next time, just please remember to confirm your shooting peaches. I think I've said this to you before, but you're a good Mika player, but you've got to stop confirming those shooting peaches when they're not actually hits. That's gotten you SPD'd like 5 times. Okay, so both sides playing a little more cautiously. Goes for the big body splash again. Xstaltz isn't anti-airing, which is letting the Zangief get away with freaking murder here. Like, isn't catching those resets either. That is a reset, by the way. If you see Zangief put his arms up in the air, he is about to running bear grab you. Always try to react to that. Like, just curious, would Geef have had time to jump around and push her in the corner after he stunned her? I'm not 100% sure, but I think he probably would have. Maybe not push her, but at least jump back to the other side and then neutral jump again to set up that headbutt combo, which would have put her back in the corner. I think that's right. That probably would have been the best move there, since he had time to dash twice, which is about the time you need to jump over somebody. Anyway, so Zangief is using a classic reset there. Standing light kick, that low kick into running bear grab, this big flip. That is a very reactable reset if you know what the tell is, which is Zangief doing this. If you see him do that standing light kick, watch, some sort of reset is coming, because standing light kick leaves him at plus, let me double check and make sure I have the exact right frames here. I want to say 2, but Okay, standing light kick on block is 0, actually. So that is incredibly fake on block. Like, that running bear grab has a long startup. I want to say a reactable startup. Yeah, it takes between 17 and 30 frames for Siberian Express to start up. So 17 light kick Siberian Express, the running bear grab. That's actually a little hard to react to, but you've just got to watch out. But it's reactable if you're already thinking about it. So if you see Zangief doing like standing light kicks on block, know he's 0. You can jab check if you have a 3-frame jab anything he tries to do after a block standing light kick. You can also, if you have a 4-frame jab, at worst trade with his 4-frame jab, both of which are much better for you than getting running bear grabbed. So 1, watch for the hands. 2, watch for standing light kicks. Those are reset points for Zangief. If he does that, you almost always want to be ready to try to check his next thing. You know, even if you just jab and get blocked, that's still advantageous for you compared to letting him get the free reset. So now Benji's in the corner. Xtaltz is in the corner. This is not good. Ooh, lands a good jump in and uses it to get himself out of the corner. Not sure why that crouching heavy punch happened. Also, this Zangief's anti-airs are on point, using those lariats very well to keep her out for the most part. Crouching heavy punch anti-air in the round. Yeah, that was a very strong showing by the Zangief. Like, using all of his tools, using his anti-airs to really keep Xtaltz from getting a lot of momentum going, which Mika really needs in this matchup. If Mika can get momentum going, Zangief can have a hard time getting out of it. Okay, there we go. Finally starting to see some anti-airs from Xtaltz, which will help keep the Zangief from getting too frisky. Again, no anti-air there, though. That would have been a great time for it. Like, Xtaltz needs to train his wingless airplane reactions, because Zangief's jumping a lot. And so that's a note. If he's doing it because Xtaltz isn't doing anything about it. Like, okay, there we go. Finally, a decent anti-air. If you're fighting someone and they're not doing anything about what you're doing, why stop? You've got to start doing something about their attacks in order for them to feel like it's worth it at all. Not a good V trigger from Zangief. I'm not sure what he thought he was doing. Do not V-trigger Zangief on reaction to Mika V-trigger. It's a bad, bad idea. So, again, Xtaltz needs to stop jumping, and this also needs to start anti-airing. The Zangief is shutting down his jump-ins and getting a ton of his own. Like, again, punish for jumping, punish for jumping. Oof, that's gonna kill. Kind of a waste of meter, really, honestly. Like, he's at full health. He didn't need to spend all that just to kill her. He probably could have just reset or just waited for the next opportunity. Maybe he just wanted to show off. Like, don't, guys, it's important to save your meter for later rounds sometimes, because now Xtaltz has a full set of meter, and Zangief has literally none, and Zangief likes meter. It lets him do EX SPDs. EX SPDs are very good for him. You can see here, already Xtaltz is taking advantage of his meter to start, trying to get his offense going, which is what he should be doing here. Ooh, that was a risky sweep, but it paid off. 3 headbutts in a row, damn. Oof, nasty back throw. Now Xtaltz is back in the corner. Hasn't had much luck with that. If mistimes his meaty SPD there, gets himself thrown in the corner and punished for it. Good jockeying for the corner there by both combatants. Like, strong use of that corner to try to get somewhere. It looks like they just did a salty 1-1 here. Unfortunate. I was hoping for a third match. But so Xtaltz, again, if you're here or if you're not here, big takeaways here. Stop jumping so much. This Zangief was on point for nailing you for it, and it got you stunned once. You cannot jump. Yeah, Rushdown 2 in the chat. Mika needs to whiff punish the standing HP, which is that big charge punch Zangief does. Yeah, stopping Zangief from just charging that up, very, very important. Mika can punish it very well, too, with standing HP at Peach, or even just EX Peach into it, because the armor on EX Peach will catch it if you do it too early, which can take away some of the risk of trying to punish it. just basically it needs to be shut down, because otherwise it's a very powerful move that lets Zangief pressure you from a very long distance away, and also generally creates this zone around him that makes that's scary for you to enter. You've got to shut down his tools, and that means in this case it's hard for Mika to shut down his tools, because the easiest way to shut down Zangief's tools is not be in range of SPD, and Mika has to be in that range to do her own damage. So you have to be brave, admittedly, as Mika, but it's a very winnable match. It's just one that you have to focus on not jumping. Gief's jump-ins are all extremely contestable. Like, he's got very good jump-ins with his standing medium kick, jumping medium kick, but we didn't even see that here. He was doing body splash, which is actually pretty poor hitbox-wise. It's very easy to hit with an anti-air. Jumping medium kick can be hard to anti-air with some characters. It's sometimes referred to as the ghetto dive kick, or the half-ass dive kick, because it sticks out way below his plane of jump, but it's still very anti-airable. The hitbox for his foot, it definitely goes below the hitbox for his foot is above the hurt box, so you can always hit it. It's just harder to do because it sticks out a fair ways and comes down a fair bit. So, like, you've got to contest him. Like, he can do it trickily, but it's always contestable. And the opposite thing is, don't try to jump at Gief. Like, there are very few characters in the game who are worse to jump at than Zangief. He has very, very powerful anti-air options that cover pretty much every approach angle and do so very easily. He doesn't have to expend a lot of effort to anti-air you. Like, we didn't even see it here because he got lariated almost every time, but for even tricky jump-ins, Gief can just mash his standing jab and usually catch them, because it covers pretty much the entire arc from directly above his head to directly in front of him. So, key points for fighting against Gief in this match, in almost all matchups: learn where he tends to reset into throws. Don't let him get away with it. If you can avoid getting reset into throws, it's harder for him to pressure you into the corner, which lets you avoid just really nasty throw mix-ups, which are unavoidable. Don't jump at him. Good Zangiefs will punish you badly for jumping at him. Like, there are mean tricks we didn't even see here, like deliberately anti-airing with jabs so they fall directly in front of you, and then SPDing them as they land and they can't react, because who thinks to jump again after they've just been anti-aired, right? And shut down Zangief's jump-ins, because they are quite strong and will let him attempt his resets or just get a nice little easy combo and do a fair bit of damage. Even off his jumping medium kick, he can usually get standing light kick lariat, which is a fair chunk of damage for free if you let him keep landing that standing jumping medium kick. And very much like a dive kick in some ways, if he lands it pretty low, he can get frame advantage off of it even on block. So just don't let him do that. Make sure to shut that down. Alright, so the next one, we have a bit of a higher level mirror match. This was submitted to us by Beast94, showing his play against an ultra platinum, a platinum rival from his ultra silver position, which is a big gap, and one that's often interesting because it gives you a chance to really see the weaknesses, especially in a mirror match where you're fighting yourself. So let's see what the differences between these two Ryus are. It's a good illustration of the differences. Playing playing good with one player and not playing as well with the player. Solar plexus. Okay, that was hilarious. But let me just talk about one thing here. Let me just talk about one thing here, because this is a big crutch for a lot of people. So, first thing Beast does is walk up and try the solar plexus punch. Now, a lot of Ryus will love to use that tool, especially in the lower levels, because it's a very easy hit confirm into a fairly decent amount of damage that doesn't require you to really commit to learning a combo or confirming a more difficult move. Problems with it is that it's short range and very slow, so you tend to get caught trying to do it a lot by people who know how Ryu's spacing is. So the more you lean on it early, the less you're actually going to be able to do your proper confirms or later on. I'm not saying don't use it, it's still a useful tool. But you have to actually spend the time to learn Ryu's confirms, which, right down to his jab, Shoryuken confirms, and his, standing medium, crouching medium kick fireball, like his actual general use tools, as opposed to this move, which is actually kind of specific and hard to use, except maybe as like a wake up meaty or something, where the slowness of it is not such a big problem. They both parry there, which is hilarious. They're both expecting someone to try something after that last solar plexus punch. So you can see that the higher rank Ryu here is kind of staying at this like just out of standing medium kick range and trying to fish for Beast to like walk into it. Good anti-air there from Beast, but gets crossed up again and either drops it or just didn't mean to do that there. It's Shoryuken. So Beast can have a good fight. He's fighting his range as well. Don't know why he tried to jump there. That was not a smart kind of jump. Neutral jumping Ryu really isn't a good idea. Just lets his fireball go over him. Good use of the wake up there. See, that was an attempt at the jab confirm. Oof! A solid parry on that meaty attempt. Which means the meaty was late, by the way. That parry had, I think, 3 frames to start up, which means that meaty attempt was actually like 6 frames. So, don't do that. Okay, so now I think the platinum is, bad Shoryuken. Like, don't throw out regular Shoryukens unless you have a very hard read. Like, EX Shoryukens in that situation might have actually caught something, but regular Shoryukens and all DPs are still crush counterable, and they're only invincible to whatever they're invincible to, light, medium, or heavy, after frame 3. So they're not usually a tool you want to throw out all willy-nilly. You have to know, like, the situation in which to use them. Alright, Beast is still putting up a very strong showing for himself, though. This other Ryu is trying to parry a lot, I think, just for the shits and giggles. But lands his kill combo there. Like, I feel like based on what he was doing, this Platinum Ryu may have been taking this a little bit less seriously than he otherwise might have been. Like, he was going for a lot of goofy parries and weird, like, difficult to hit combos. Like, that parry there doesn't make sense. Yeah, so, thank you, Dinley. I didn't want to bother looking that up while I was talking. So light punch Shoryukens or dragon punches, that's all of them. Kami's, Karen, well, Karen's is only EX, but any of them follow these rules. Light punch dragon punches are frame 1, throw invulnerable, but they're still vulnerable to getting punched. Medium punch dragon punches are frame 1 invulnerable to air attacks, but still going to be punched from the ground or thrown if you catch them before they actually leave the floor, which is like a 4 or 5 frame startup on most of them. And then finally, heavy is completely invincible, but only after frame 3, which means you can't actually use it to get out of meaties. So in all 3 of those cases, if you're not certain about what's about to happen, EX is usually better. But in general, if you're not certain about what's about to happen, you probably shouldn't be DPing too much in the first place. It's a tool you want to use when you have a fairly good idea the opponent's about to try to aggress on you, and you want them to stop. You don't want to just throw it out willy-nilly, because it's very, very bad. You get hurt very badly for doing it. If I had to comment on something that our man Beast here could improve, it would be his whiff punishment and general spacing and neutral. His opponent, like, he knows how to land his combos, he knows how to anti-air, he's doing decent damage, but his opponent is definitely winning the spacing war. He's generally just, moving smarter and not letting Beast get away with stuff that Beast is letting him get away with. That was supposed to be a combo confirm there, for example, but, Beast is getting caught for his mistimed meaties. He's getting caught for throwing out limbs in neutral. This guy is just that little bit better at playing the neutral game, and that's really what makes the difference between this and this, even if he may be screwing around a little bit. Alright, so let's move on to round 2.
One. Fight.
Again, sorry guys. So he's just getting hit by these fireballs. I think he's trying to parry them, and then Beast has predictable fireball there and gets jumped in on, but this guy drops the combo, which is kind of weird. Like, I wonder if there's some lag going on, or if, again, this guy's just not trying very hard. So corner position, very good, but mistimes the meaty, gets jabbed out of it. Learn your meaty timings, guys. You got it. Getting jabbed out of them feels really bad, and forces him to cede corner position here, which is also really bad. And now his back's to the corner. Yeah. Good use of the slowdown there to get that free DP. That's a trick you should learn if you have a slowdown starting install style V-trigger. Is that if the opponent's doing something, you're not sure what it is, your V-trigger is ready, you wait for them to do something, activate, and then while this screen freezes on, you look at them and go, okay, I know what they're doing now. Let me react appropriately by anti-airing or EXDPing out of a string or, whatever. Good combo there. Good patience by both players. Like, I gotta give Beast credit. He's definitely trying his best to play smart. He's not putting up a bad showing at all. He's just getting outplayed a little bit in the distance that matters, where it's not where he, that round he managed to eke it out, but this guy just keeps going for those parries, which is kind of funny. But he was just getting outplayed in that first game just a little bit in the neutral, and that was really what was costing him. He might win this one though. Yeah, I would say he's about to win. So, strong play from him. Oof, misses the confirm off that parry. That could have won. Gets hit by the unblockable. Gets hit by the over. Ooh, good block. No punish though. Ooh, that's bad. He's gonna get that wake up EXDP. Gotta expect that. If you're both very close to death, and this situation is going, you've got to be ready for someone to pull out the YOLO DP or YOLO critical art. It's a very strong situation to pull those out in if they're down and you're both very close to death, and you've got to be ready to bait it. So, strong move by Beast here, big compliments to him, but this is exactly the sort of situation where you should be watching for an EXDP, and I'm not sure why the Platinum guy wasn't thinking about that. Again, he may not have been taking this terribly seriously. He was trying to parry things for no real good reason. He might have just been, trying to, screw around, but it's hard to say, without being in his head, it's hard to say, why he wouldn't expect an EXDP at a situation where they're both one hit from death and Beast is one hit from stun. I would have expected it then. That I would have certainly tried to bait it once at least before committing to a meaty, but can't win them all. Yeah, it's interesting to see that the Platinum player was anti-airing primarily with his jabs, while Beast was primarily anti-airing with DP. It's hard. They're both good options. It's hard to say which one's always better because there isn't really one. But I would say that Beast's reactions on the anti-airs are probably a little bit better if he's going to consistently hit DPs instead of trying to go for the jab. Yeah, this is a very, very close match, and I want to note this for you, those of you who are watching, who are in silver, who are in the lower ranks. The gap between you and platinum, the gap between you and gold, the gap between you and whatever your goal is much, much shorter than you think it is. Just look at this. This guy's ultra silver, and he just beat a platinum. And, say what you will about maybe the platinum wasn't always playing to his best. It doesn't matter. Victory still occurred. He still won. The gap between those ranks is not as massive as people tend to like to believe. It's just little tightening up, little tricks, little ways to play better, and you can definitely get there. It's not that hard. I promise you it's doable. You can beat people, in those ranks, and you will. Alright, so this is one of our own tournament organizers and channel admins. It's Jimmy P playing against, I believe that he's against the Akuma, but yeah, as his newest love, Ziku. He's trying to get good with Ziku. So old Ziku is kind of a rangy character, likes to keep people out, which is good against Akuma because Akuma likes being up close and personal. Oof, gets caught by that very, very good low crush counter. Crouching heavy punch, about to get stunned. Oof, throws him in the corner, but immediately cedes pressure. So that's something I want to talk about. When you get someone in this position, you don't back off. You've got them where you want them. You've got to follow up with something. You do not want them to give them a moment to think. You do not want to give them a moment to come up with a way out. You want to immediately start, at least psychologically, making them think, uh-oh, I'm in the corner. What do I do? What do I do? Like, the value of putting someone's back to the wall, both like in terms of game mechanics and psychologically, cannot be underestimated. And Jimmy just kind of cedes control here. Lets Akuma jump right out and put him in the corner. Definitely don't want to do that. Like, sorry, Jimmy, you don't do that, man. You're better than that. I know you are. Good V reversal, forces him off him, but wrist. So that's a thing you'll see a lot of. That slide's punishable. It's basically a sweep, and he gets punished for it and dies. People tend to start trying to pull out riskier options as they get lower in health, and the difference in health here starts looking kind of insurmountable. You're scared, the other guy's up on you by half a life bar, you're about to die, so you go, oh, what the hell, why not? And you pull out a riskier option. I think it's two of Rethan. I think the Akuma submitted this. I think definitely Jimmy submitted this. I'm like 100% sure he's playing Ziku here. It might be two of our folks playing. But yeah, so like people tend to start thinking, oh, I'm almost dead. I might as well risk it all on this big move. And that's the opposite of what you want to do. When you're low on health, you want to play as smart as you possibly can because any mistake will kill you. Sometimes that does mean pulling out a nasty risk in hopes that you catch them off guard. But a lot of the time what that actually means is you just need to calm down and try to intelligently and figure out what you're going to do next and have a plan to come back. The more you panic in that situation, the more likely it is that you'll do something stupid that they're expecting because it's the obvious dumb move. So don't panic. When you don't lose any damage because you're at very low health. So don't try to like fish for massive damage. You'll still do the same amount of damage if you do it intelligently, and it's much more important to keep your head and try to figure out a safe way out of the situation, or at least a safer, and then maybe go for the risk when the opponent's no longer watching for it. Alright, so Jimmy instantly switches to Young Ziku, actually, in both these matches. And Young Ziku can fight up close pretty decently. I don't know if I would do that against Akuma, though, who doesn't use the crush counter there and doesn't really get the combo, because good throws there. Because Akuma does not fight so good at ranges outside of his limited fireball range, and old Ziku can put some pretty nasty pressure at that range. Definitely a good second round. Let's watch that again, because I want to give Jimmy his credit here. Yeah, so old Ziku looks like this. Instant transformation to young Ziku, who is a much closer ranged fighter. Good use of throws there. I'm not sure, Slick Deals definitely wasn't expecting those throws. Oh, catches that attempt at, good read on that, but doesn't punish it properly, but that's okay. He still gets it. Wasn't expecting those two throws in a row again. Would have worked if both of them hadn't whiffed there, that parry. Throws him out of the V reversal, good use, but gets caught trying to run up and crouching heavy punch and gets neutral jumped for it. Strong hard reads by Jimmy there. I'm not sure if he could have done that less riskily, but, you know, oh, that transformation almost got him killed there. Should have definitely not done that with Akuma right in his face. So now he's back in the corner. That's a place you very much do not want to be against Akuma. Akuma is dangerous as all get out in the corner, and Jimmy knows that, so you can see he immediately got out. Smart move, but, you know, gets caught by the XDP, but, you know, that just happens sometimes. So Slick Deals is using a lot of powerful like attempts to block Jimmy's V reversal attempts. He's caught like 3 of them with throws. Just gotta watch out for that. Oh, uses the air. Oh, okay, so that was legitimately either a very, very hard read or like a sick reaction. Hold before we go on. Is Crouching Heavy Punch Akuma's best poke? It's one of his best pokes. It's a bit short, but it's too late. Stay Free TV, it is too late to submit replays for this match, but feel free to submit them anyway, and I will definitely get to them probably next week. Anyway, so is Crouching Heavy Punch Akuma's best poke? It's definitely one of his best. It's plus on block. It's a crush counter. It's, you know, it's got a decent amount of range. Like, it's basically a god button. But the only problem with it is the range comparatively to some pokes is kind of short, and obviously it's a big commit like Bison's similar buttons, so you can get parried or V reversal pretty easily compared to his faster buttons. But yes, definitely it is a very, very, very strong poke, and one you're going to have to watch for a lot against Akuma. Anyway, so this is legitimately a sick moment. So jumps, and Jimmy tries to use Ziku's super as an anti-air, which would work because you can't do anything about when you're jumping, except Slick has either recognized this or was already planning on doing this anyway, one of which is way more skillful than the other, but either way is pretty cool, and does Akuma's EX Air Fireball, which keeps him floating and out of range of the super until the animation ends. You saw, if you were watching Capcom Cup, you saw Tokido pull a similar trick on Mina RD. This is a thing you should learn as Akuma. Like, Akuma spends a lot of time using Demon Flip shenanigans or other jumps to use his air fireballs and Demon Flip mix-up to catch people, and using this trick to really throw off people who think they've caught on to your timing can win you a lot of rounds and catch people way off guard as Akuma. So big tip to Akuma players, not an always food, but definitely one you should keep in your toolbox. Not only that, catches him with it. Again, so Jimmy, again, low health, high stun, panics and goes for the slide, but is out of range. A lot of y'all, including probably me, tend to have a panic button. When you're at this, in this situation, you go, oh, I gotta throw this out, I gotta try it. That's predictable, and it's usually an obvious, like, swag, attempt at reversing momentum that better players will know about and probably try to catch. You've got to remember that when you're playing somebody, they are probably trying as best they can to be familiar with your habits, and that means if you have a tendency to do something, especially against someone who's ranked higher than you or who you've played before, and you think they might know what you're about, restrain the urge to go for your obvious, panic button. You've got to sometimes just not do that and let things fall as they may, so that when you do actually use it as a panic button, it's an unexpected button instead of that, where the other guy was clearly just waiting for you to do it and was ready to punish you for trying it. Alright, so for the last replays of today, we're going to actually go into Street Fighter itself, as these guys sent me replay numbers as opposed to the usual replay videos. So you'll have to give me a second while I find one of the ones that was sent to us. So this set was sent to us by Zaki Ani, who I believe is just called Zaki in game, who says he was playing a Vega. He sat and was trying to catch his long normals with his DP and didn't always succeed, which is understandable. Let's see if we can find this replay. Okay, so he is a Nikali player. That is cool. Nikali is cool. I like Nikali quite a lot. And he's not a common visitor to this stream. I guess he's just not played as much as I think he should be. Anyway, so this matchup, I mean, I think it favors Nikali because Nikali can pressure Vega, and Vega can't really do much about it. But you know, you have to be able to pressure Vega to do that, and it can be hard to pressure a good Vega because of his long normals and fast movement. Once you get the hang of it, it's pretty straightforward, and he doesn't really have a reversal, but you've got to catch him first. See, yeah, there's those long pokes. Stripes. Ooh, this guy's good punish on that sweep. Anti-airs, but doesn't get a good follow-up, and whiffs a throw. So yeah, this Vega's playing very classic Vega, just using those long pokes and safe attacks to try to fish for Zaki trying to get in. Good use of the jump in, good use of the overhead. Probably was too far away to combo off that jump in. Nikali's ranges can be a little goofy. Good use of the DP there. Probably could have just done the regular MP version instead, though. Not really a need for the EX there. Don't know why he backed off there. So that's a thing. When you're playing a pressure-heavy character like Nikali and you land a hit like that, don't back away. You've got to be willing to just go in and go for it. Like, pressure characters want to pressure. When you see a hit, continue that pressure. Just unless it's one of those rare minus hits. Doesn't get the fine Barcelona little attack there. Yeah, see, I'm not sure I didn't combo off that jump in. Just maybe doesn't know. See, yeah, that's good use of the anti-air and the throw trick I was mentioning earlier. Oh, puts himself in the corner. Probably shouldn't have done that. Definitely has, like... It's hard to say, like, what the big flaw is here. Oh, YOLO DP, but... sorry, YOLO CA, but catches him anyway. That was nasty. So, like, I would say that Zaki needs to work on here is just, like, learning when to continue pressure and learning when to not. Like, he's seeding a lot of times where he's positive to his opponent, and he's letting his opponent steal turns a lot. Additionally, he's using a lot of like random YOLO throw out like disc guidances and other unsafe moves. Should have DP'd there. Like EX DP'd. Oh, he doesn't have a meter. He's like just trying stuff, and that's common at low ranks, but at higher ranks you've really got to stop doing that because it'll get you hurt badly. Yeah, so right there, like, that is not... every time after that overhead flip, you've got to be ready to do something about it. Like, this Vega pressure is not really all that real. Throws him out of the corner. Why? Throw him back into the corner. You want him to be in the corner. Good confirm by the Vega player, though, gotta say. Okay, so gonna sum that round up. Like, I'm just gonna send it playing again while we talk here. Vega was using his spacing and movement to keep Zaki out, and then started pressure. Vega pressure is not real. I don't remember where the exact gaps are because I haven't played against him in a while. But all those like long pressure strings that Vega was doing, there's a definite gap in those where Ani could have thrown out a jab and halted it, or even just, if he really wanted YOLO, just EXDP'd. And I believe it's usually after the overhead flip. So Vega's definitely playing his game plan. Zaki is not doing a job playing his. Nikali is a character that once you get in, wants to stay there and really rag on you. Go, he is a caveman. You got to go full unga bunga on people sometimes to make them respect you. And every time Zaki would land like a series of hits or even like a good solid opening hit, he would tend to back off, right there, and throw them out of corners and generally cede pressure. Like, the biggest problem with Nikali is that he has trouble, fighting in a certain range because his stuff is kind of stubby or slow. When you're in his good range, you really don't want to leave it unless you have to. And Zaki is doing a lot of exiting that range willingly, which you really don't want to do. And additionally, he's leaving a lot of damage on the table when he lands these big hits he doesn't follow up on. Like, he probably could have killed in the second round if he had done some of his combos in full. So, like, generally, my tips to Zaki for this matchup is, it's not so much matchup specific. He's just got to work on both his offense and his defense fundamentally. He's got to tighten up his offensive combos and pokes so that he's actually getting real damage when he gets damage. And he's got to stop throwing out these unsafe random moves or trying to challenge things that aren't challengeable, while at the same time also challenging things that are challengeable. Part of that is, I guess, partially matchup knowledge and, especially learning when to challenge certain characters. But it's also strongly just practicing your own character until you can consistently land. You get a hit, you combo. You get a hit, you can advance. Building that memory, building that ability to just do stuff like that combo we just did consistently when he gets a stray hit, not when he gets a planned one. New players will often hesitate on doing combos because they're waiting for that big, obvious, easy, heavy hit where they know, oh, that's comboable now. I've hit him hard. But you can't rely on that. You've got to be willing to and ready to combo off of stuff like that. You're doing that into a full combo while not doing stuff like that random disc guidance that got him punished and killed. You've got to be able to balance those two. On the one hand, an intelligent play, and on the other hand, being willing to go full pressure or damage when the circumstances allow for it. Alright, so that's everything for tonight. We are officially running out of time, so for those of you who sent in replays I didn't get to you, rest assured I still have them, and I'm willing to, and we'll see if we can get to them next week. Additionally, for those of you who are considering it, please remember to send in your replays to nchbeginnerbreakdowns@gmail.com, or you can join our Discord at the Discord link. I will link in the chat. When PM your replays to either myself, KZA on Discord, or my co-host, who I hope feels better and rejoins me next week, Seth Series. Both of us are also coaches for Street Fighter V on the Discord, and we're willing to help you out in chat or even potentially in a lounge to practice against or with. We also have, for those of you interested in branching out, support for Injustice 2, Marvel vs. Capcom and Infinite, Smash 4, and most importantly for me, as it's the other game I play, Tekken 7, in the Discord. We also do have a pinger for Guilty Gear, though we don't have enough people presently to have a full channel of coaches. So please feel free, if you're new here, to join the Discord. If you're not new here, thank you very much for tuning in again this week. And hopefully next week, both of us will finally be on the same page again, and neither of us will be missing to go rogue with the stream and do whatever the heck we want. Seth's got to keep an eye on me, and I got to keep an eye on him, or we'll end up, spiraling into some terrible, one-man show of me talking for literally 3 straight hours, or Seth deciding that he's going to watch or to restream Tekken instead of doing Street Fighter V this week. So we'll keep each other honest, and we'll both hopefully see you next week. Thanks for joining in.